On March 13, 1964, Catherine Kitty Genovese was coming from her shift at the local bar. It was 3 a.m. in the morning and she was going into her apartment. She parked her car and there was a short distance between the parking and her apartment, and she was walking that distance. Unbeknownst to her, there was a man following her. She found out soon that there was someone who was following her. She tried to speed up, she tried to avoid the route, but the man was catching on her. She started to yell, to ask for help, and before even somebody could respond, the man started stabbing her multiple times. But soon, the windows from nearby apartments were opened, the lights were switched on, and the man from a window shouted, "Leave that girl alone." By hearing this, the man left the scene. Kitty Genovese was still on the road with wound but alive. The lights were switched off again. People went back to their rooms. The man came back. He stabbed her again, and the lights were turned on again, and the assailant again left the scene. But he returned again for the final time to kill her. The first phone call to the police was made at 3:50 a.m., 15 minutes after the first stabbing incident. The police arrived in just 2 minutes. But why did no one call the police? Why it took 50 minutes for them? Why nobody came to help her? Why did not anyone came to rush to her aid? Why nobody called the ambulance, called the police? What really happened there? This has been called as one of the most cited example for bystander effect. It is also called the diffusion of responsibility, where the likelihood of helping someone decreases rapidly with the passive bystanders. This increases with the more number of passive bystanders. We have seen this very often during road accidents, when nobody comes to the rescue of people thinking somebody else will do it. People diffuse the responsibility. We think somebody else will do it and ended up not doing anything. Now, it's not something that everybody will come into the bystanders effect. Of course, there are percentages. The researchers have found out that almost 60 to 70% of the people actually follow the bystanders effect. Now, why do I say this? If we are talking about software industry, we don't really have any fatal errors. We don't really have errors where the lives of people are at stake, but still we have the bystanders effect, don't we? Can you imagine a situation, can you go back to your memory, imagine a situation where something very critical, a crunch situation, something very critical error has been made, and you looked at your peers and everybody looked at you and they say, hey, if we report this now, we might get unnecessarily dragged into this conversation. Why to report it? Because if we do, we might get dragged into situation. Now, it's not very common for everyone. It's not that it has to happen with everyone, but this is a very common phenomena in the industry. And this is not anyone's fault. If you have thought like this, it's not your fault. It's not something that you did wrong. It's just natural. It's just that the culture at the organization has prompted us, has made us believe the bystanders effect, has made us fall into the trap of bystanders effect. Now, in order to change the culture, in order to change this behavior, we need to change the culture. Change the culture of the workplace that we work in. Because in case such thing happens, it's very important that everybody rushes in to get the help, the support, to defy the bystanders effect, to defy the diffusion of responsibility. How can you do that? I can give you an example. Now, remember, for the road accidents that we are talking about, in road accidents, there are so many people who do not offer any help to take the people to the hospital because they think they'll get into the accident police and all that law and judicial matter. They don't want to drag themselves there. So what government of India has done is to ensure a good Samaritan reward. So that means if somebody takes anyone to the hospital, a victim of an accident to the hospital, they get rewarded. They do not get harassed, or they do not get penalized into something, or they do not get into the mess of the legal issues. They get rewarded. Remember, I said rewarded, not awarded. They get rewarded for their good Samaritan act. Now, that motivation could be extrinsic, that motivation could be intrinsic motivation. The thing is, there is a change, there is a shift in the culture that is required to ensure that people who are in that situation act accordingly. Now, if I am acting in such a manner, if I see an error being made and I stand there, look at others and think, okay, nobody else is doing, why shall I? Or you don't even think, you just keep quiet in bystander's effect. Unless encourages enough to assume the responsibility and do the right thing. Go and help. Had there been such courage in one person in that apartment, in the entire apartments of where Kitty Ginowes was murdered, her life would have been saved. Had there been one person who had the courage to do similar thing in different road accidents, many lives could have been saved. Had there been this courage into so many meetings to call out the wrong thing, in so many code deployments in software industry, many efforts could have been saved. So the bystander effect is something that bothers us. But remember, if we start assuming responsibility by changing the culture of the organization, we can overcome it. I hope it helped. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Please put your comments down below, and I will see you soon.